Hello, welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. In fact, just yesterday I wanted to talk about there was a Supreme Court decision. I haven't fully read it yet. I intend to. But regarding a gentleman who's Christian, who owned a bakery, and a homosexual couple wanted to have him make their wedding cake. And he refused to do it on religious grounds. He stated that there were certain types of cakes he didn't make, and he didn't make wedding cakes for homosexual weddings. And I've also heard things, they said he didn't make cakes for Halloween because to make cakes for certain types of events were in conflict with his religious beliefs. So in a decision of 7-2, the court ruled that he did not have to make the cake. And from my understanding right now, the court ruled that there was a law in place that was invalid, that he would have had to comply with, but that law was invalid, so he didn't. Like I said, I didn't read the specifics I didn't read the whole case yet. I've downloaded it, but I've been busy doing so many other things. I haven't had an opportunity to just sit down and read the case yet. But it's bringing forward a lot of arguments. A lot of people saying, "Oh, well, this is a slippery slope. What if they allow businesses to not serve black people?" Do I believe that this is where it will go based upon how narrow or how limited their ruling was? I see, because narrow is more closely a reference to the margin of voting of the justices. That's in the mindset. Narrow can also mean the scope of the ruling. But yeah, this was a very limited, from my understanding, ruling that just doesn't give a blanket, or a very wide latitude in terms of discriminating against people. So that's why I don't think that's necessarily a really strong argument, because I don't think this decision is going to go there or have that effect, because of the very limited nature of the decision that the justices made. But what if subsequent cases do come out and say, okay, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to allow private owners, business owners, to discriminate against blacks. Well, number one, you've got Title II of the Civil Rights Act of 64, which means that private businesses are forbidden from discriminating against black people. They can't not serve them. So what do I think? Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it should. I think Title II of the Civil Rights Act of 64 is not beneficial for black people. Now, all of a sudden, a lot of people are going to react, no, you racist, you support racists. No, you support racists. Here's what I mean. Let's take Bob. Bob is a white supremacist. Bob owns his own diner. Bob is married, has 3 kids. Bob's wife has blonde hair, blue eyes. Bob's wife also is a white supremacist. She agrees with Bob. She hates black people. They think black people are nasty and unintelligent and smelly, and they don't think they're worthy, that black people are worthy of eating their food, of being in their establishment. Bob has 3 kids. Bob is raising his kids to be white supremacists too. His kids are ages 5, 7, and 10, and they use the N word regularly. You know, they're young, but this is the way they're being raised. We don't know where they're going to end up when they grow up, but we know right now Bob's kids believe what Bob and his wife are teaching them. This is one big happy family of white supremacists. So Bob does not want to serve black people who come into his store. Let's say the law changes. That right now the law says Bob has to serve black people. The law changes. Like they say, the slippery slope, boom. They say, you know what? Bob, you no longer have to serve black people in your store. Guess what? Bob is happy. So Bob now says, you N-words don't come in my store. I hate you. You're filthy. You're animals. You're disgusting. You're smelly. You're unintelligent. You're monkeys. All kinds of stuff. This is what Bob says. What you're saying, you who claiming I support white supremacy, are saying, no, Bob has to take my money so that I can eat at his store. I have to be allowed to feed Bob's family. I have to be allowed to let Bob profit off of my hard-earned money so that I can eat in his store. Think about it. You're arguing you think you're spiting Bob, and maybe emotionally you are, but in actuality, you're helping Bob. Because if you succeed in getting that law passed again, in this hypothetical, if you get that law passed again, where now Bob is not allowed to discriminate against black people and refuse service to black people, what you're saying is you're forcing Bob to take your money. Guess what? You're supporting white supremacy. You're subsidizing white supremacy. You're feeding Bob, his family. You're generating wealth for Bob and his family. You support white supremacy. You may not have meant to, but that's what you're doing. Because every dollar that you spend in Bob's store feeds Bob, Bob's wife, Bob's kids, and lets them promote their racism even further. So you are supporting white supremacy. That's the fact. That's why I do not like Title II of the Civil Rights Act of '64. Because it did nothing for black people. Giving me the opportunity to spend my money with a white supremacist, that doesn't benefit me. That hurts me. Not to mention, if Bob hates black people so much, but you're forcing him to serve me, what the fuck is he doing to my food back there? I go to Bob's store. Every time I go to, afterwards, I just feel a little queasy. It's like, I don't know what's going on. Get a sore throat. Like, I don't know. Because Bob's spitting in my food and all kinds of, but I don't know this because Bob was not allowed to be open with his views. I'd rather Bob be allowed to say, oh, I hate you, N-words. And I could say, fuck you too, and not spend a dime in his store. But now, under the current law, I don't know what Bob truly thinks. I don't know what Bob truly believes. And not because Bob has chosen shrewdly to hide his beliefs, but because Bob has been told it's against the law for him to express his beliefs and to deny service to me. So, I hope that this law doesn't exist. I hope that Bob isn't smart enough to keep his mouth shut and that his hatred is he cannot contain his hatred and he reveals his true self so that I can make sure not to spend a dime in Bob's store. That I can make sure that Bob and his family starve because that's what I want. I do not want to subsidize white supremacy. I do not want to make him and his family rich, where he now gets enough money to buy another store and another store and another. And before you know it, he has a chain of restaurants. He still hates black people, but he's rich now. And with richness, now he has power too. What the fuck were you thinking? I get it. I get it. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But let's stop. Let's think about what this actually means. What is the actual benefit? What is the actual detriment from what is being proposed? Because it sounded like whoever proposed that idea gave a damn about us. But we got to do the math. We got to do the math and say, wait a minute. How does forcing Bob to take my money help me? If anything, it hurts me. And if anybody gets helped, it helps Bob. And guess who else it helps? It helps America. Because you got to see, at the time that the Civil Rights Act of '64 was passed, America had an image problem. The rest of the world was like, whoa, you're doing all that in America? You're preaching this freedom and justice and the American way, and y'all are murdering your own people just because they're black, just because of the color of their skin? Y'all are doing all kinds of, wow, y'all are evil. America's image was suffering. So, bring in the Civil Rights Act of '64, and you say, oh, we're going to make racism illegal. But of course, if you stop and think, you can't make racism illegal. You can't make an ideology illegal. You can't make a way of thinking illegal. You can force people to hide it, but you can't force them to change it. And that's what they did. They forced white supremacy into hiding. That's it. They didn't destroy it. They didn't stop it. They didn't diminish it. They sent it underground. It's what Prohibition does. They created a black market. And within that black market, white supremacy thrived. Meanwhile, black people some of us, got rocked to sleep. Started to think things were different, things had changed. There were some changes. There was some difference. But there was a whole lot that remained the same. But we couldn't see it. Fast forward to 2008. Barack Obama is elected. We're in a post-racial America. 2016. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. The wake-up call comes. But all this time we were thinking shit was sweet. And all the time we were blind. We got rocked to sleep along with the rest of the world because America made a move that fixed its image. It didn't benefit us. It didn't stop white supremacy. It subsidized white supremacy. And it made America look great in the eyes of the world. That's what it was about. That's what it's always been about. So, Civil Rights Act of '64, Title II, does it benefit us? If you make a law tomorrow that says, okay, just restaurants can discriminate against black people and not serve black people, why are you upset about it? Do you want to give your money to white supremacists who hate you? Do you want to? I damn sure don't want to. I don't want to subsidize these racist motherfuckers. Do you think that we live in a post-racial America? For those of you that think we live in a post-racial America, what are you worried about? You can make the law, you can get rid of the law tomorrow and everything will be good. Nobody's going to discriminate against anybody else because we're in a post-racial America. For those of you that think we're not in a post-racial America, Okay. So you think that there is racism still existing? Why are we trying to hide it? Why are we trying to conceal who these people are? I want to know who they are. I want them to feel free to reveal themselves, so I know who I need to stay away from. It's in my best interest to know who they are. So with that, yeah, is it a slippery slope? In and of itself, I don't think it is. I would definitely be one of the people to advocate for allowing racists to not serve black people in their restaurants. I love it. So that way I don't spend any money with you anymore. You let me know who you are and I let you starve. Point blank, period. That's all I have for today's episode. If you like the topic, you like the thinking, put a thumbs up, share it. If you didn't like it, go ahead and comment. If you want to say some stupid shit, feel free, because I'll embarrass you in the comments too. Have a great one.